Hey everyone, this is P4L, and in today's P4L review, we'll be taking a look at the first figure from FansProject Saurus Ryu-Oh Dinoking homage, and this is Dinoichi, their version of Kakuryu from the Victory series. So Transformers Victory, the G1 Japanese series that I'm actually not very familiar with at all. I am familiar with this character and his remold, which was Monstructor, but I don't know a lot about this character's kind of history, so sorry about that. But let's go ahead and get started. If you guys don't know anything about this, again, it's a Dinoking homage. Ryu-Oh actually stands for, or translates to Dragon King in Japanese, and Dinoichi, the Ichi part stands for one. So since it's the first figure in their release, that's why they're calling it Ichi. So let's go ahead and take a look at packaging review first. And as you can see, you get a nice product image on the front with some kind of, sort of blurry, honestly, pixelated background of some, Cybertronian probably planet with some flame art going on. And this probably says Ryu-Oh or Dinoichi. Actually, it probably says Dinoichi, now that I think about it. On the top here, you get some images of Dinoichi in robot mode with some of his additional weaponry and accessories, as well as some of his alt mode. On this side here, you get some more robot mode. On the other side, you get some alt mode images, or what they're calling monster mode. Here's a better picture about that mode. And then on the back is where we get a bunch of shots. So we get to see him in robot mode a bunch of times, monster mode a bunch of times, but then this is what we're really looking for, right? His combined mode. So he makes up the upper torso or chest, as well as the head of the combiner or Gestalt. The rest of the figure, the other six, make up kind of the lower abdomen, upper thighs, his two legs, and his two arms. So without further ado, let's actually take a look at him, and we're actually able to do that by flipping open this window box. At the top here, we actually do get some more product images of him showing off his missile bay, like shoulder mounted guns and weaponry, artillery. Down here is where we actually get to see the figure. You can see him in robot mode with some of the accessories, and then we get his robot or his alt or monster mode there. Alright, so really nice packaging. The quality is what you've come to expect. A little bit thinner on the box than I typically like, but still really well designed. So let's go ahead and get this guy open and start with robot mode review. Dinoichi does come with an instruction manual, as you see here. It's kind of weird because it has one loose page in here, because there's only one additional page, so it's not actually stapled in. Kind of annoying. I actually thought it was ripped at first, but it shows you how to get from robot to monster and then robot to combined mode. And that's pretty much it. You do get some extra shots here, but they're just reuse of images we've already seen in the box art. He does come in this kind of clamshell box. Just a quick note, I hate this construction of boxes. Every time you try to slide it back into the box itself, it ends up being caught. So I don't like these shell thingies. They're really quite annoying. I'd rather just them put it in the clamshell directly or something. He does come in the clamshell though, that is nice and secured. He does have 2 feet and actually hands down here, which we'll show off in a little bit. Does come with his main figure and then his gun itself. Before I get too far along, I did want to do a shout out. I know this review is actually kind of late. This figure's been out for quite a while, and my next review, which will be of Dino Knee, the second figure in this line, is pretty late as well. But Killinger Kustoms actually lent me theirs so that I could do a review, and I've actually had this figure for a long time, and I apologize. But one thing I wanted to also note was that they're actually going to be going full production into ABS injection molding next year, so a good way to start off the new year. On the inside of this actual box, they also have some line art for the robot mode, so very nice. Kind of reminds me of the FansProject's their Lost Exo Realm box and packaging. So let's go ahead and get down to robot mode review. So let's go ahead and look at the accessory first. He does have a molded gun. The barrel does slide out if you'd like to have these 4 little barrels come in to view. I mean, it's pretty plain. I'm guessing it combines with the rest of the weaponry to form a big gun once you get all the figures together. It also works with that dino shell, which I did a review for at TFCon Charlotte, I believe. You can just go ahead and plug that in. It's kind of a tight fit, but it does work really well. Actually, I should zoom out just a little bit because these pieces here can actually be mounted on his robot mode in a couple places. You can use these tabs here to tab into these slots on the upper part of his shoulder. If I can get it in there. Come on now. It's a really tight fit, so it can work like that, and you can have them both mounted, and they do rotate around. And these barrels here are actually part of his knuckles for his combined mode fist. And like I said, you can kind of rotate them around. Looks kind of goofy, honestly, but it does work. Alternatively, you can make use of the slot on the back here, which is kind of a T-shaped, and you can fold these down or slot these down into the back, and then this door can open kind of as missile bays. So you can do either. I think it actually looks kind of goofy in both forms, but they do offer you some storage. I'm going to go into the other parts of details of this later. This actually makes up the foot and the fist, which you can see down here. But I'm going to show that off in a little bit later. So yeah, taking a look at robot mode, he does look quite nice. He's a bit stocky, and that's because the original characters or the original toys were actually pretty stocky. He does have a really nice robot mode sculpt. He does have some gaps down here, and the backpack is basically his monster face, which sticks out way more. I kind of wish it would be nice if it kind of folded down or a little bit, but it is, I guess, accurate to the toy. Not a lot of nice painted detail, really nice gold application of paint. I'm pretty sure it's paint and not, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's all this is paint, so you're not going to have, you know, gold plastic syndrome on this with the parts breaking. Nice use of white plastic and paint all around, and some nice molded details. You got some red highlights as well, and some of this kind of a greenish tan? I don't know. But overall it looks really good. The one thing I will say about Robo Mode that I don't like as much is that it's accurate to the toy, but in the cartoon he had a gold chest. And I like that a lot better. It kind of carries it around from here, but I guess they went with a toy look for Robot Mode. Other thing that you'll notice is that you can very clearly see his combined mode back of the head here without really trying, and you can completely see through a lot of his chest here and abs. So that's actually kind of disappointing. I do think this is probably his best mode though, just because it looks really nice. He does have a very nice head sculpt, which I don't know if it's accurate to the cartoon, but it might be more accurate to the toy from what I can tell. But he was always a kind of a masked figure. His head is on a ball joint and he gets a lot of range of motion, which is nice. But he does look really mean, you know, kind of Grimlock-esque with his face mask and red eyes. And if you guys didn't know, this group is a group of Decepticons, and they were always kind of slapsticky, but also kind of violent, pretty violent. They're known for being really menacing. Other than that, the robot mode looks pretty clean. You do have his combiner ports up here that are pretty visible, and a few bits of sprue marks here and there that aren't as clean as I would like, but by and large, pretty nice. Especially for a triple changer. So as far as articulation goes, he has ratcheted shoulders that go around like that. He also has this weird piece where his shoulders connect to the main body, and when you actually make use of that joint, it actually breaks up the body, which is honestly quite odd. He does have a bicep swivel, but he does run into interference there, so you might stress a little bit of something if you do that too much. He does have a post for a wrist, and that's about it. He does have double jointed elbows, friction elbows, so he can get all the way bent up like that. Waist-wise, one thing to note is if you go forward in rotation, sometimes this part of the transformation joint will come undone. I wish that would tabbed in a little bit tighter. It reminds me of their FansProject Swoop. Their Swoop also had kind of a similar joint there. He does have a bit of an ab crunch. It's not a whole lot. It actually goes back further than it goes forward, but it is nice to have a figure that does have an ab crunch. He does have a waist swivel friction joint. He has ratcheted legs going forward and back, as well as going outwards. It doesn't go quite 90 degrees outwards, but more than enough than you'll need. Nice ratcheted knees. This figure supposedly had trouble with the knees. Ages 3 and up, and their guest host Evangelist did a tutorial on how to do that. I'm not going to do that, but I'll go ahead and link to that. He does have a little bit of kneecap articulation. And then down at the foot here, he is on a ball joint, a really big ball joint, so he gets a lot of ankle articulation. And because of the way that the transformation works, he actually has a sliding joint, so you can get a little bit more articulation if you slide that joint for unique poses, I suppose. But yeah, that's... Oh, did I do the thigh swivel? He does have a thigh swivel as well. And the only other downside about this is he has his screws exposed in the front, which is kind of a bummer on the hips. It would have been nice to have that covered up, or have that be this side, so you didn't have the screw showing in robot mode. Yeah, but that's really about it for robot mode. As far as transformation is going to go, we're going to go from robot, which is out of packaging, and then we're going to go into alt mode, and then finish off in combine mode, and then come back. Alright? So let's go ahead and do robot to alt transformation. Transformation is pretty simple. First thing you'll do is rotate the head back, tuck it all the way down in here inside the head of his alt mode, and then we're going to deal with the arms. So rotate the arms up, get this claw kind of up like this. You're going to rotate at the wrist, as well as at the bicep, 180 degrees. Then you're going to rotate the wrist around and fold it up so it looks like that. Alright, and then you're going to use this ball joint on the claw to come like that. And when you rotate this back down, you're going to use that transformation joint that I talked about that swings down 180 degrees. And that way, he'll kind of look like this. So same thing on the other side. Swing this up. Rotate it at the wrist. Rotate at the bicep swivel. And apparently I say rotate a lot, so I apologize about that. I didn't know that was what people are calling a Pakeism or Henryism. So I apologize for saying rotate a lot. You turn it. Alright, so that's how we do the upper body. Lower body will just not rotate. We'll turn at the waist 180 degrees. We'll bring these kneecaps down, and then the feet will just go around, swivel around on that ball joint, and using that sliding joint, slide until it clicks outward. There we go, and there we go. We are already in his monster mode, or his alt mode, as I usually call it. Same general articulation here. I'm not going to go over all that since it's basically the same thing, just flipped around at the waist, and the arm just kind of swung down a bit. The only other new articulation you really get is the ball jointed wrists here. And you do get a little bit of swivel from that wrist transformation, but I'm not really going to count that. Everything else is exactly the same. Just his arms are rotated down a little bit lower, and his waist is turned around. But yeah, by and large, essentially the same transformation, same articulation. He does have his jaw that opens up really wide. Kind of reminds me of a troll in the way it looks, and then his head can swing up and down. So this mode is kind of weak in the sense that it is a very basic transformation. Nothing really interesting is going on, except bringing out these claws. He does still have that ab crunch, which can get him kind of more hunched down and troll-like. Alright, so let's go ahead and get him transformed into combined mode. So combined mode, what we're going to do is, first, let's deal with the arms. So the arms are going to collapse upwards, and you're going to have this slot into the arm. Let's go ahead and rotate these claws around first. But once you get that in place, making use of that double jointed elbow, there we go. It goes in like that. You do have to go back on that transformation joint and swing that all the way up so the shoulder sits higher. And then the last part here is you'll see this little tab here that sticks out. It actually needs to slot into that joint here. So you're gonna have to come back and rotate it in clockwise. It's very hard to show off because it's so tiny and it sits pretty deep. Let's see. There we go. So once you do that, this is what it will look like. Same thing on the other side. Let's go ahead and swing this joint all the way up. Bring the claw around like that. Get this big rectangular piece in there. Slot the claw into these grooves or these channels, and then go ahead and slot that tab in like so. Alright. For the lower body, it actually we're gonna have to actually do the head reveal first, which is kind of a bummer. I kind of like doing that last, but open up these panels. Swing the head out, rotate that around 180 degrees so he's facing forward. This part really bothers me. It doesn't tab in anywhere from what I can tell, and it's really loose. So like, yeah, like just doing that, he goes back and forward. I wish there was something that tabbed this panel in place, or that platform in place. As far as the legs go, you're going to come down here, and the whole ankle piece actually will come undone from this post going into that port on both sides. And we're going to rotate all the way up at that kind of mid joint. While we're down here, you're supposed to flip this piece down. And I don't know what that's for, but I'm sure it's for combining with the lower abdomen. Now from here, we're actually going to rotate this. Now I'm really self-conscious about saying rotate, but we're going to rotate that all the way around like so. Oh, did I? Oh, gotta do that first at the waist, and then from here you collapse the legs all the way in on themselves. Once you have that done, you can flip up the knee to cover up that gap, and you're gonna swing the legs all the way up, and they're right behind the shoulder. There's a little indentation for this piece to hook onto. And the right side works really well on mine. The left side doesn't for some reason, and I'm not sure why. And of course now I can't even get one side in for some reason. Now this time the left side's working and the right side's not. Oh, I think it's because the hips were not positioned correctly before. But once you have that done, you can tab in the 2 feet. Yeah, I have a hard time getting both tabbed in at the same time. But this is what he's going to look like in combined mode. And he looks very small because he is kind of small and compact in this mode. He will have more bulk to him once he has the upper thighs in place. So yeah, pretty easy transformation. Nothing too complicated. He does look really nice here. I like his head sculpt a lot. It looks really mean and menacing. He has nice painted red eyes and a silver face. His head is on a ball joint and on that platform, but again, that platform really does bug me a lot. He also has a pin joint here that you can move the crest forward or back, and I'm not really sure which way it's supposed to be for official mode, but I guess up makes more sense to me. And I think it needs to collapse just when it gets into the chest for transformation. He does have a shoulder joint here. It's the same one that we had in robot and monster mode, and then he'll have the combiner ports here. So I can't actually wait to see this guy combine because he does look really mean, and I like the colors a lot, the different colors he has, and this gold really pops to me. Alright, so let's go ahead and get this guy transformed back into the monster mode and then back into robot mode. So the first thing we'll do is come back here, untab the 2 feet, untab these 2 side pieces, get this guy swung down, his waist swung down, straighten out the legs. This also kind of bothers me a bit. It does have to flex a bit to clear the thigh. And make sure to get these kneecaps out the way when you straighten the legs. Once you have that done, you're gonna swing these ankle joints up to get into this ports. Rotate. Oh, actually, since we're going to monster mode, we'll keep that like so. Go ahead and swing the upper body all the way around. Open up the back panels. Get the head around 180 degrees. Fold that in. And these 2 tabs will come together to peg into the back of the head. And that hold everything secure there. For the claws, just pull them down. Once again, that one little tab joint, that kind of I or T joint here, you're going to have to rotate that out, free that up, and then you can swing down on that transformation hinge or swivel. Get the claws down in their proper orientation. Do the same thing for the other side. Back in monster mode. And then getting him into robot mode, again, is very easy. First thing we'll do is deal with the feet. Getting those feet all the way around. Slide those feet and ankles all the way out so they align correctly. Swing that around all the way so that the hips are in the correct orientation. These are supposed to flip up the kneecaps are supposed to flip up for robot mode. For the arms, going backwards, using that swinging joint, we're going to go ahead and rotate 180 degrees at the bicep and at the wrist once you free that fist up. Get the claw swung back around and slot it into that gap. Do the same thing for the other side, the bicep, the wrist. Oh, one thing I found is this little rectangular piece that tabs in for combined mode. it does tend to fall off on this version or this copy. I'm not sure if that's a common problem. It's just a screw hole filler, so it's not a big deal, and it does just go right back in. But something to note. Get the arms rotated all the way down. Get the fist positioned correctly, and then swing the head up. And there we have Dinoichi back in robot mode. Very quickly, since I didn't do it before, and I had meant to, just some size comparisons. Here's a deluxe Combiner Wars figure. So he's roughly about deluxe size. Here's another combiner that I have. This is, I guess, Unique Toys Troll. So clearly much bigger. And then here he is with Bad Cube Brawl. Oh, Brawny, not Brawl. Brawny. Alright, so one thing I said I'd mention is the combiner parts. So he does have the feet as well as the fists, which are hidden in here. If you swing up the toes and pull on these double barrels, you'll see the fist here, and it combines using these double C clips. The fingers are individually ball jointed and articulated. They have one extra joint of articulation besides the ball joints. The thumb, though, is just one solid piece. Has double barrels on the back of the fist, and kind of these spikes, which are kind of Predaking-ish, I guess. I think Unique Toys had something like that on theirs. So it will combine using these double C clips, and it does have a wrist swivel. And we'll show that off once we do a review for the appendages. And to get that back in, you just rotate the thumb down on that ball joint, curl up the fists, and again using those double C clips, there's a long cylinder here. Let's get that. Come on. I know you can do it. There we go. Get these back down. As far as articulation goes, he does have a swivel. He does have ratcheted ankle tilts that feel really nice. He has one joint of ratchet going forward and I think two going back. I think it really depends on how this part is going to be rotated in combine mode. But yeah, that's it for the combiner parts. I do wish there was a extra 5mm peg or something like that the figures could use as a gun or something, but whatever. So final thoughts on Dinoichi. A really solid figure from FansProject. I do think for the price that they're asking, it's too much because he is very basic. That said, he is a combiner. I just think he would have been much better priced if he was a bit cheaper, to be just perfectly blunt. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below. If you like the review, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to add this guy to your collection, you can always click on the Toy Dojo link in the description below. And as always, thanks for following my news and reviews. Go ahead and click that P4L review logo if you haven't already subscribed, or go ahead and follow me on Facebook at P4L Reviews. Alright, thanks a lot everyone. Have a good one.